Are we live? Hello, hello, hello. Uh, what's up, guys? Hey, what's up, guys? So today, I've decided to do a full-on English version of my live stream, hoping to help a lot of guys with dating white girls, foreign girls. I think also a lot of concept. I probably explain it much better in English, I think. So today is gonna be a English only live stream. Okay, we'll try this out for once. I've never done this before, but I'm gonna try this out for once. Okay, on this channel. Okay, on this channel. So we're gonna do a full-on English version of my live stream. And like I said, I think today, I think the main topic that we're gonna talk about is gonna be interracial dating, dating girls from different countries, cultural backgrounds, as well as from different places. And I think I explain a lot of this. I think I explain a lot about how to pick up and how to date, probably, especially white girls, much, much better talking in English. And I think you guys could understand a lot of things if I say it in English. So we'll try this out today just for once. I know it's a little bit late. I'm going to bed right after this. So today won't be very long. It won't be a very long live stream. If you guys have any questions, you guys can type it out in English, and then I will try to kind of explain the concept to you guys. Especially if you are living outside of China, especially if you're living outside of China, or if you're living in North America right now, you're in another country, or if you're living in Australia, you're in Europe, and you're trying to meet women locally. You're trying to pick up girls locally. I think this is going to be really helpful to guys who wants to basically meet white girls or foreign girls. A lot of you guys who are living in a different country, even if you're living in China, okay, even if you're living in China, I think if you are looking to meet women who are from another country or culture, I think this is a great opportunity for you to learn about this and be able to get a lot of value and content from my live stream. And I'm here to help, basically. Actually, the only product that I have, the only online video course, the only product that I have that's in English is called Pure Game, and I think a lot of people have already seen that. And that's I think, in my very honest opinion, the best course that I have right now for people who speak English. I wanted to learn this. A lot of white people, actually, a lot of white guys uh, took my course, took Pure Game. I think it's one of the best dating products out there. 14 videos. Um, it's basically beginning to end. Like that course teaches you pretty much everything. Okay, pretty much everything. So, okay, let me take a look. Let me take a look. Let me see what you guys are saying. Ryan, what do you think about girls changing their mind after first date? Is it advisable to go on a first date late, regardless whether her window is big or not? Oh, that's a really good question. So here's the thing: if you go on okay, if you go on a date, if you go on a first date with a girl, generally I talk about closing a girl in 3 dates. But if you go on the first date with a girl and nothing happens, I like to see, usually on the first date, if I have an opportunity to close or not. If I can, if closing on first date, a lot of it has to do with logistics. If you don't have the logistics to close on a first date, let's say you go on one date with a girl, and on that first date you figure that she can't really go out with you, or sorry, if she doesn't have enough time to go home with you, if she doesn't have enough time to, let's say she only has like half an hour or maybe 1 hour on the very first date, and usually I would kind of figure like, okay, probably not the best to try to take her home. I wouldn't even try to escalate. I wouldn't even try to touch this girl. So on the first date, it would just be good interactions, good social interactions, build my attraction with her, build my comfort with her. Get her into me, like get her into it, get her attracted, but not push it so far that she wouldn't want to see me again. So a lot of times on the first date, what happens is guys would push the interaction so far because they think they're trying to close the girl so badly on the first date that they completely neglect the fact that like maybe it's just too fast for her and there's not enough time. Like honestly, there's not enough time. So if I figure on the first date I've got 2 hours or maybe even 3 hours, I would try to close on the first date. But if there's only, let's say, half an hour to an hour, it's a really short meeting, I would not even try to touch the girl. And that would leave me the best chance to see this girl again on a second date. So that's my answer to your question. Please do not block this video. I think it's awesome to have our video in English. Please answer me if you see this. Yes, I see this. I really want to date a beautiful white girl in China, but it seems they have less interest in Asian men. I mean, how to find them and how to date them seems difficult. That's not true. That's absolutely not true. So currently right now in Chengdu, I am seeing three white girls, one Canadian, one Russian, and one Ukrainian. That's 3 foreign girls that I've been seeing in Chengdu. And when I was in Shanghai, when I was in Nanjing, when I was in Chengdu, I met so many white chicks. I think it's just an excuse that a lot of Asian guys, because you can't meet, a lot of Asian men, not just Chinese, like a lot of Koreans, a lot of Japanese, even Filipinos, they can't really meet white girls. They don't know how it works. They don't know how the mechanics behind meeting white women works. So they kind of put the whole racist thing up front as an excuse, as an excuse saying that they're not into Asian men. That's absolutely not true, because knowing in China, in this country, any white person, any foreigners here, like they're foreigners, right? It's not their country. Like they're foreigners here, they're visitors. So a lot of white girls in China, they feel like a lot of them are wanting to be into this culture. Like they want to get in this whole Chinese culture. It's the same thing as when you're abroad. Like let's say you're in Canada, you're in the US, you're in Australia. You want to fucking hang out with the locals. Like you want to go talk to the locals. You want to make friends with the locals, right? You even want like a white girlfriend. Like for white girls in China, it's the same thing. White chicks in China, a lot of them, they want to find a Chinese boyfriend because they want to be in the culture. They want to learn the Chinese culture. They want to learn the language, right? They want to get around much easier. So in fact, a lot of foreigners who are here, they are not able to get into the local culture because a lot of Chinese guys are too shy, right? They don't know what to do. They're creepy or they're weird. They do all sorts of weird shit. So white girls get really, like, even though they really want to find a Chinese boyfriend, but if you're like weird, if you're going to be somebody who's weird or you're trying some creepy things on them, they're not going to be okay with that, right? So that's what I learned. That's what I figured out when I came back to China. I was dating all these white girls, and the feedbacks that I would get from them would be like, I'm like, oh, like, so how long you been in China for? And they're like, oh, I've been here for, 2 years, 3 years. Some, trust me, some Russians have been in China for more than 5 years. So they actually know how things work much better than the ones who just arrived. So a lot of these white girls who are in China, they go on these social apps. They go on Tinder, right? They go on Tantan. They go on all these social apps, and they go on dates with these guys. And all these Chinese guys would try all these weird shit, like send them gifts, ask them if they want money, right? Give them money, give them gifts, give them all this crap. And to a white girl, this is like the weirdest thing. So you might think like, oh, it's so easy, like you just talk to them. Like that's actually what they want. They just want a guy who can talk to them properly, who can actually interact with them. It's the same thing when I go out with a Chinese girl. Anytime when you're offering them something that is more than a little bit out of their reality, when you're offering them something that's too much, where it's beyond two strangers, like we just met, we're two strangers. Anytime you're offering too much value in terms of like money, or you're buying something that's out of their reality, they think you're fucking weird. Like they actually think you're weird. In the white culture, it's not even in the white culture. I think it's in every culture. Like if you just meet somebody and you're like two strangers, right? You're two strangers. Why the fuck would you buy something for somebody you just met? Or like why would you give money to someone you just met? So in their head, they're like, the fuck's wrong with you? Right? What the fuck's wrong with this person? And that's the most feedback that I've gotten from white girls. It's just too many guys are weird, right? It's the same thing for Chinese girls. Like when I go meet Chinese girls, it's the same feedback. Like, oh, these guys are too fucking weird. They try all this weird shit. They try all this creepy shit. No one is technically normal, right? So if you're somebody who's normal, I think if you have the opportunity to maybe go approach or even meet a white girl on a dating app, the first thing you need to understand is just fucking be normal. Like if you can be normal, like considered normal, right? Just not make any mistakes, not do all this creepy weird shit. most girls would be okay with that, regardless whether she's white, Chinese, or wherever she's from. The biggest difference between Chinese and white girls is white girls normally do not dump you directly, and they talk a lot with you if they aren't interested in you, which gives you fake signals. It's true. I've met white girls who's given me mixed signals. I understand what you're talking about. But some Chinese girls do that also. Like there's Chinese girls who will give you fake signals all the time, right? Like mixed messages. White girls do that all the time. I think that's not a matter between whether you're Chinese or you're white. I think that's just to do with what kind of girl you meet. Like girls who give mixed messages, usually they are confused themselves. They're very confused. Okay, and like what I think is they're actually very confused. Like they don't know what they don't know what they want, or they're doing it on purpose, right? It's one out of the two. So it's either the girl is confused about what she wants from you, or she's doing it on purpose to fuck with you. So either one out of the two. This type of girl, the way that you should be dealing with this is just to deal with it directly. Like say if she doesn't know what she really wants. If she doesn't know what she wants, you can assist her in terms of figuring out what is it that you want with you, or say in my case with me. Or if she's doing it on purpose, you get to the end of it. You're like, stop fucking with me, like stop doing this. Get to the end. Get to the answer. Like you just have to not be able to take bullshit, right? A lot of times when they're giving you mixed signals and you take that, you're taking that bullshit, right? You're taking that bullshit. All you're doing is taking all that bullshit, and you're letting her do this to you, right? You're letting her do this to you, and you're taking it, and you're like, fuck, why are they doing this? Like, I wouldn't let them do this to me. Like, if a girl was sending me mixed fucking messages, I would literally break her down to the bottom. Like, what is it that you want? Right? I'm literally surprised by how many people speak English on my channel. Jesus Christ. hey man, I just closed the hottest girl I've dated on the first date. What's your strategy on retaining girls? Oh, that's a good question. Fuck, you guys ask. I think you guys ask such good questions when I do this in English. I'm actually really surprised. So if you've just slept with a girl who you think is really hot, and on the very first date, what I do to retain them, see, this is what I used to talk about a lot, is that you can attract someone. Attraction to me, I think it's not, like, for a lot of guys, I think it's not hard. Even sleeping with a girl on the first date or second date, it's not hard. I think for a lot of guys who are past the intermediate level, like you're not a beginner anymore. Once you're past the intermediate level, I think the biggest problem is what you're asking is, how do you retain a girl? How do you make a girl stay with you? So I talked about this before. A girl is not going to stay with you just because she's attracted. A girl decides to stay with you because she sees a potential future, if that makes sense. Like she sees a certain lifestyle with you. That would be the only way that a girl would actually stay with you. Let's say your lifestyle completely sucks, right? And let's say you're somebody who's or you're just looking for a one night stand and she knows that. There's no way she's gonna stay with you. All right, she'll probably fuck, right? She'll fuck with you, she'll have sex with you, but she'll probably leave right after, because to her, she doesn't want to get any emotion. She doesn't want to get any emotions involved. She doesn't want to be too invested because she doesn't see a potential result or an ending with you. Like, for example, a long-term relationship, or even a long time, like, or even a long-term fuck buddy, right? So the way that I would retain girls is I would do it even before the sex. So if you met somebody who's really hot, let's see, if I met somebody who's really hot, and I know that we're probably going to fuck, okay, kind of like my ex-girlfriend and all my current fuck buddies, if I know that there's somebody that I want to keep around, I would already be planning for this, or I would already be setting this up before the sex. So I would let the girl know that, first of all, it's not going to be a one-time thing, or it's not going to be a one-time thing between me and you, right? Another thing what I would do is, on the day that we have sex, like, this is another tip, right? You can set up a date after that. So you want to be setting up another time to see each other on the day you fuck. So she knows, like 100% she knows that you want to be seeing her again when you guys are done having sex. Like, she knows that you want to see her again, you want to continue to be seeing her. So there's an actual potential future, like a potential result, or something might come out of it. Not where, oh, you just have sex one time and this guy's not going to talk to me again. This guy's not going to, call me again or text me again. So you got to set that up before you even fuck. A lot of times you're not able to retain a girl after sex is because you've made the decision. She feels like this guy only wants me to stick around because the sex was good. So if you had really good sex with a girl, but prior to the sex, you didn't say anything or do anything, but after you fucked, you start texting her more and you want to see her more, she's going to feel like, oh, because the sex was good, so the guy wants to see me more. Whereas I would do it one step ahead. So I would do it before the sex even happens. And when the sex is done, she knows that the sex is part of, like, our ongoing relationship, whether it's my girlfriend, whether it's a fuck buddy, whether it's someone that I'll be seeing, right? Someone that I'll be seeing, because that's different, just someone that you'll be dating. But you could still fuck on the first date. My whole idea is always let the girl know that you're not just gonna fucking, like, peace out, right? You're actually gonna stick around. That's really important in terms of retaining girls. And the second important thing is what I said is your whole lifestyle. Your lifestyle needs to be good enough to retain certain girls. That depends on what their standard for lifestyle is. So for her to keep seeing you, there needs to be a reason, right? There needs to be a motivation. Why else would a girl keep seeing you and keep coming back? So that motivation and that reason, a lot of it has to do with the lifestyle that you provide, right? If you're not able to provide for a good life, if you're not able to provide a really good lifestyle, why the fuck would she stick around, right? Obviously she's going to leave. So this is why the ability to be able to provide is really important when it comes to long term. But if you're just dating and you're fucking around, maybe it doesn't matter as much, right? If it's somebody who's just a fuck buddy, then the sex has got to be really good. If it's something that's beyond a fuck buddy, then the lifestyle is really important. Okay? Very, very thorough answer to your question. I think the busier the girl is, the more likely she's gonna flake after number one lay. I found myself in these situations. If a girl is really honestly busy, it's a possibility that she'll flake after one-time sex. But there's also a lot of things that, like I said, you could do to retain the girl, to try to retain the girl at least. There's nothing I've done or there's nothing I could do that I can guarantee 100% that the girl's gonna come back, right? Like I'm not a magician, right? There's no such thing as 100%. I can't 100% retain certain girls, but what I could do is that there's certain things that I do that would increase my chance of retaining certain girls. And this also has to do with years and years and years of experience where I've kind of realized what certain girls, what they're attracted to, like what they're into. If you're somebody that they're into, like beyond just say like a good fuck, like let's say you're really good in bed, okay, that's +1 for you, right? That's +1. That's 1 point. But there's also many, many other points. So if you figure out what the girl's into, what is she looking for, besides just the guy being good in bed, unless you're extremely good in bed, where she can't really deny coming back a second time, there's other things that the girl might be into. You got to figure out what those things are. It's like you're providing value to other areas of her life. Like what is she looking for in a guy? If you're able to provide those things or figure those things out, the chance of her coming back is really big, unless you're just extremely good in bed, right? Hi Ryan, do you find yourself behave or act slightly different when you have the game in English? I found myself always getting high when I spoke in English, like having a drug. No, not really, but me speaking in English and me speaking Chinese makes literally no difference. I think the voice makes a difference. Like I might have a different voice, right? I might have a different voice. I might have a different attitude. But generally speaking, I think it's to do with the culture, because when I speak Chinese, I tend to be a little softer, right? I tend to be a little bit softer. But when I speak English, I could sound really aggressive, right? That's the only difference, I think. What's the difference between setting another date before and after sex? I just told you, if you're setting up another date, okay, it doesn't matter if you have sex on the first date or if you have sex on the second date. If you are setting up a date before the sex happens, the girl just feels like the sex is just part of you guys walking forward together. Like it's not an end goal for you. Does that make sense? Like if you're telling a girl that you want to see her again before you even fuck her, she's more likely gonna have sex with you today because she thinks like, oh, this guy want to see me again, right? He's not just here for the end goal of having a sex with me. But if you set up another date after you fucked, there's a very high chance that she thinks, oh, because the sex was good, so he wants to fuck me again. She's gonna be confused, or she doesn't understand whether she's not gonna understand whether you want to see her again because you like her as a person or you want to keep having sex with her. So for me to completely solve that problem or that concern that she has, like if I wanted to basically not have her think about this, then I would ask her out every single time. So every time I'm on a date, I would set up another date. If I'm on that date, I would set up another date. I could keep setting up dates with girls, but at the end of the day, it's like I'm the one who decides if I want to see her when that day comes, right? If I set up a day and then I know that, okay, so let's say today's Monday, right? Today's Monday. If I'm meeting a girl today on Monday, and I'm having sex with her today, right? Because maybe it's our first time or second time. I would before the sex would even happen, I would ask her if we can see each other on Wednesday, or if we can see each other on Thursday or Friday, right? I would set up that day before the sex even happens. Now, when that day comes around, right? Let's say I say let's meet on Thursday. She's like, oh, okay. So when Thursday comes around, I can still decide if I want to meet her today or not, right? But every time I'm on a date, I would keep giving them the idea that I want to see them again, which is completely fine because then I have all the options, right? If I do this with one person, two people, three people, four people, if I do this with 5, 6 girls, I have dates lined up for all of next week. And when the day actually arrives, I can decide if I want to go or reschedule for another time, right? But as long as they all say, yes, okay, that's cool, we'll see each other again, we'll meet again. That's all that matters. Honestly, I feel way more anxious when I talk to white girls. Yeah, a lot of Asian guys get really nervous talking to white girls because they think they're so beautiful, they're so hot. Right, I try to say I'll see her again before I drop her from my car. Okay. Boys have never found English so important until they open this channel. Right, how do you keep the dates minimal spending as possible? How to ask girls to pay if I genuinely don't enjoy the interaction with them. You don't ask girls to pay because you don't enjoy the interaction. Okay? Like I don't ask women to pay ever. I don't ever ask women like, "Hey, do you want to pay for this?" You keep the date minimal spending by choosing where you want to go. Does that make sense? Like you keep the date minimal spending by choosing where you want to take her. So, like, for example, if I take her to Starbucks, you're not going to spend more than fucking like 100 at Starbucks. Even if you both just get coffee and a cake, that's like 100, right? So you keep minimal spending by where you take her. If you take her to the fucking park, you spend nothing, right? If you take her to the beach, you spend nothing. If you take her to, I don't know, like a school or something, or like the beach, or take her to go hiking on a mountain, like you spend nothing, right? So however much you spend on a date depends on where you take her. So if you take her to somewhere like a coffee shop, you're not going to spend more than 100. It's just that simple, right? When should I have the conversation with a girl about being exclusive or not? Is it a hidden rule that in Western dating culture, people can date more than OB at the same time? Depends on the person, I think. Oh, you ask 2 questions in a row. 2 questions in a row, Ryan. How do you decide when to break up after 1 or 2 years into an exclusive relationship? Is it the decline of passion about her or some other reasons? So usually I would have the so here's the thing. I in my lifetime never really was the first person to say to a girl, "Hey, do you want to be in an exclusive relationship with me?" In my lifetime, almost never do I ever bring up that topic. It's always the girl that brings up this topic because I can enjoy the thing is, when you have so much options to meet women, like if you're like me, like if I go out on any afternoon, I go out and I do, let's say, 10 approaches. In the 10 approaches, I'll usually get 8 or 9 numbers, right? Like I'll get blown out, I'll get rejected like one or two times, but that's normal because that's based on luck. But in all the numbers that I get, like most of them, they're all gonna reply, and most of them are actually gonna come out and see me. As long as they come out, my closing rate is roughly 90%, right? So the thing with that is I never run out of options. Like as long as I'm active and I go out, I'm constantly meeting new girls. Like I could do this every single day if I wanted to. So I can't really, and that's the reason why I've never been, ever since I got into becoming a dating coach at 21, and when I started, having sex with all these women and meeting all these women and having all these options, I never wanted to give up that option. So if I'm talking to someone and I'm saying to the girl, hey, you want to be in an exclusive relationship with me, I would never ask that, because that's like me giving up all my options. But it's always the girl that asks me, or that brings up the topic, do you want to have an exclusive relationship? It's always the girl. Okay, it's always the girl. It's never me. I never bring it up. And when that topic comes up, I always try to steer it into the direction of holding that idea off. I always try to talk the girl into seeing me for a while. Like, let's go on basically be my friends with benefits, or fuck buddy, for at least 3 months. I would hold that off. Because for me to go into any sort of long-term relationship, I really do need time to kind of think, like, do I really like this girl? Am I really gonna like her? Am I gonna get bored of her? Do I like her now just because the sex is good now? Do I like her because we just met, right? Because it's fresh. If I want to go in a long-term relationship, for me that's like at least 3 to 6 month process. Like my longest like fuck buddy was probably like a year. Like I literally just had sex with one girl. She just literally all she did was have sex with me for 1 year, right? 1 full year, without asking me anything about being my girlfriend or anything like that. So we banged for a year until I decide whether it's a good idea to go into a long-term relationship or not. But when you're somebody who has the options, you never want to go into a relationship. Like nobody would, right? Nobody would. Nobody in their right mind would want to go into a lockdown, exclusive, long-term relationship if they have options. Like if you fucking have all the options, if you have all the options where you're meeting girls every day and you can sleep with new girls every week, right, or every other day, who in their right mind would lock down with one woman? Unless you lie to her, right? Unless you lie to her, like, yeah, I'll be your girl, like, yeah, I'll be your boyfriend, I'll be your girlfriend, I'll be your boyfriend, and then you go fuck around or whatever. I've done that when I was young, right? I've done it when I was younger, and I think it's normal. So what I think is, if you want to start a relationship, like what you said, talk to a girl about being exclusive, I think you should see her for a while. At least, what is seeing a girl? Seeing a girl means you're dating her. Like you can go on dates with her every week, right? You see each other once a week, or twice a week, or once every 2 weeks. You can go for dinner, you can go out watch a movie, you can go hang out with her, you can talk, you can fuck, you can keep fucking, and see if you like this girl. And if after a month or 2 months or even 3 months, you kind of figure like, oh, I like this girl, I like her, then I would think you could have that exclusive relationship talk with her. Like, hey, do you want to maybe step things up? How I would talk about this, I would be like, hey, do you want to step things up? Right? And she'll ask you, what do you mean step things up? And I would steer in the direction where, like we've been seeing each other for a long time, because that makes more sense. It doesn't make any sense to me if you meet somebody for 1 week or even like less than a month and you're like, hey, can I do you want to be my girlfriend? Like, that makes no sense to me. Because you just met, right? You don't even know that whether you guys are a good fit, right? Whether you guys are gonna last, whether she's really what you want. So to me, if you only met a girl and you're rushing into a relationship, I think that is the stupidest thing anyone can do. Like, that's the stupidest thing a guy can do, especially if you have no other options. Generally, it's guys who have no options. They desperately try to get into like relationships really, really, really quickly with a girl they just met. Yeah, guys, make sure you like this video, hey? Make sure you click on like. Make sure you smash that like button. Make sure you click on like to keep watching this video, okay? My height is 5'11", plus I'm also 5'11". Do you think a 6 feet girl could possibly attract my man kind of like my height? Dude, I'm 5'11". I've met models, like my last girl, my ex-girlfriend, my second last girlfriend. So my ex-girlfriend was a Russian girl who was a model. When she was 19, she also stripped at a strip club, and she was 6'1", and I'm 5'11". She was 2 inches taller than me. But none of this even matter. It's all in your fucking head. People say the fucking stupidest things. Like, people find the dumbest excuses. Like, oh, I'm too old. Oh, I'm too ugly. Oh, I'm too poor. Or I'm too short, right? Whatever the fucking excuse is, it's just a reason to make themselves feel better. Like, clearly you have no results, right? Clearly you're not doing it right. Clearly you're not getting what you want. So instead of thinking like, how do I figure this out and do it right? Instead of thinking like, how can I make this work for me? Instead of thinking like, how do I get results? Their fucking mind is on like, oh, I'm too short. Oh, but I'm poor. But I have no money. Oh, but I'm like ugly. I'm not handsome enough. That's the reason why you're not getting results, because your fucking head is in the wrong place. You're thinking about the wrong information. Like, you're not trying to figure things out. Instead of trying to find, so like the easy way to put it is like, you're not trying to find a solution. You're complaining, right? You're complaining like a bitch. Like, all you're doing is you're complaining. You find excuses and you keep whining about it, right? You keep whining about it. You keep complaining about it. And that excuse makes you feel better. It makes you fucking feel better. It gives you a reason, right? It explains to yourself why I fucking suck. So instead of so this is what I say all the time. Like, even to all my Chinese viewers, my Chinese fans, like, stop trying to find fucking excuses. Why is your brain not trying to find a solution? Like, figure it out. Have you ever seen guys who are uglier than you, shorter than you, poorer than you, in every way worse than you, but they're more successful than you in dating? They have more options. I've seen it, right? I've seen it. So the reason why I stopped complaining about shit and when I was 19, I got into game when I was 18, right? I got into the whole PUA pickup industry when I was 18. I found a community, right, when I was 18. So I kind of figured this out at 19 years old. Like, I was in university, I was looking around, and in university, especially at UBC, there are a lot of guys who get laid. A lot. And they're worse than me. And when I say worse than me, I'm talking like they're shorter than me, they're uglier than me, they don't have money, they don't have any of that shit. And I wasn't getting laid. You gotta understand something. Like, I wasn't getting laid in university, especially in first year and second year. I wasn't getting laid much, or at all, actually. So for me to see that in university, where all these kids are, some are actually older than me, some are younger, but at 19 years old, I see all these people who are not, quote unquote, like, better than I am, and they get laid more than I do. That makes me think, right? That makes me think, like, why are they getting results? Why am I not getting results? And a big thing about that is, like, my whole brain, my whole mentality shifted. It shifted. It went from trying to find excuses why I wasn't getting laid, because I used to think like guys who got laid a lot were handsome, right? That's the easiest thing to think as a normal person. So my mind shifted when I saw guys who were worse than me in every way possible, but they were getting results. So obviously it's nothing to do with the way they look. It's nothing to do with their height. It's nothing to do with how they dress. Because in university you see this, especially like if you're going to university abroad, right? You see this happening. Like there's people who on the outside they look like shit, but they get laid. So as a human being, you fucking think, right? Because you're making all these excuses about yourself not being good enough, and yet people who are worse are getting results for some weird reason. So your mind start to shift. You're like, okay, what is the solution? Or how did they do it? Right? How did they do it? So that's when my mind shifted. At 19 years old, I stopped making excuses. Everyone loves to make excuses. All the poor people, right? All the fucking poor people make excuses every single day for their failure, right? So I stopped making excuses. That's when I started to get results. Because my mind shifted. It went on the right things. My mind went on the right things. It's like, there must be a way to make this work, right? There must be a way, there must be a solution to this problem, to that problem. So when your mind shifts and you start thinking the right thing, it is not necessarily because I'm smarter than those people. I'm not, right? I don't have a higher IQ, right? I don't have a better background. I'm not from a better place. I was just an average Asian guy who played a lot of video games and basketball. But my mind shifted to the right place. I became a problem-solving mind versus what I had was like a complainer's mind, like a loser mind. Somebody who's a loser, all they do is complain. They find excuses and they complain. But instead, I try to find a solution. Like I started to think, like, how can I make this work for myself? And once that shift happened and took place, I stopped making excuses, stopped all this bullshit, went out a lot, took a lot of actions. Obviously didn't get any results in the beginning, but I didn't give up, right? I didn't give up. I knew eventually I was going to figure it out. Because the people that I saw who were worse than me, who got results, became part of my motivation. So if I saw some kid who was shorter than me, uglier than me, poorer than me, worse than me, I was already pretty poor, right? I've seen kids who are poorer than me. I was already very poor in university. I had no money at all. So when I see all these guys who were worse than me and they were getting laid, that was my motivation to figure it out, right? Like if they can make it work, why is it not working for me? So I went out, right? I learned a lot about game, went out and tried. And eventually, obviously, got results, right? Ryan, if the girl is confirmed gold diggers, how am I supposed to get her without having enough money? You don't. That's the fucking idea. You don't. Right? You don't. This is such a ridiculous thing. Like if you know someone who's a gold digger, like if you know a girl is a gold digger, like verified gold digger, why the fuck are you trying to change that? Right? Like you already know she's a confirmed gold digger, verified. You're not supposed to get her. This guy's questions, how am I supposed to get her without having enough money? You're not supposed to get her without money. She's a gold digger for a reason. Like your mind is on the wrong thing once again. That's almost as bad as asking me, I think this other guy is good looking. How do I turn this guy into a woman so that I can have sex with him? How do I convince this guy, right? How do I convince a man to change his sex into a woman so I could fuck him? That's almost as bad as asking me that question. Like if you know somebody who's a verified gold digger, you don't change that. That's just who they are. At least that's who they are right now, right? She might not be a gold digger 5 years down the road or 10 years down the road, but she's a gold digger right now. That's like you meet a girl, you really like her, but she's a fucking slut. She's a whore, but she's a slut right now. She's a whore right now. It doesn't mean she's a slut later, but you got to deal with this right now. You can't change that right now. Stop trying to convince people to be or do, like, be the way that you want them to be, or do things that you want them to do. There's fucking nothing you can do to change who they are or what they want to do. Like, what we are trying to teach her is not for you to convince people or fucking to, like, change people's mind. You can't. What we try to do, or what we're teaching you, is how to avoid the gold diggers. You want to basically not meet somebody who's a gold digger. There's millions of people out there. There's endless amount of girls. The only reason you would ask me how to change a fucking gold digger, because she's the only option you have in your life right now. Right? She's the only option that you have right now. That's why you want to change her. You have no other fucking options. If you have 20 other options that are better, this gold digger is irrelevant. You wouldn't even care. Right? You wouldn't even fucking care. So the idea here is you're trying to learn how to filter out the gold diggers. Because there are a lot of girls who are absolutely amazing and they're not gold diggers. Right? That's the best part. That's the best part. So don't be a person like you're fucking banging your head on the wall like, how do I change a gold digger? How do I fucking not spend money on a gold digger? This is the fucking most retarded, dumbest thing you can think or do. Right? That's like, how do I convince someone to change your sex? How do I change you? How do I convince you to go get your dick cut off so you can become a woman? I can't. Right? I can't force you. I can't change that. It's the same thing with gold diggers. It's the same thing with the girl who's a slut. Like guys ask me all the time. It's like, how do I change a girl from not being a slut? How do I turn a bad girl into a good girl? You don't. You fucking don't. If you want a good girl, you go find a good girl, right? If you want a bad girl, you go find a bad girl. You can't change somebody that they're not, right? So questions like this, the answer is almost never like, oh, there's a way to do this. No, there isn't. You go find the one that you want. Like, for example, like in our company, in business, it's the same thing in business. Like if in my company, I'm trying to find an employee that can do a certain job, right? If I'm trying to find an employee that can do a certain job, I can only find that specific person to be good at that job. I can't change someone. Like if this guy sucks at this job, he's fired, right? He's fired. He's not suitable for this job. You got to find someone who's suitable. It's the same thing with women. Like, you can't change a girl who's slut. You can't change a girl who's a gold digger. You can't make a stupid girl smart, right? If a girl's fucking stupid, you can't make her smart. You can't make her smarter. Right? If a girl's a bitch, you can't turn her into a sweet girl. Like, it just doesn't work like that. You found her like this. When you found her, she's like this. You just accept it. Like, that's who she is. And if you want to deal with it, you continue. If you don't want to deal with it, you move on. Okay, very simple. Ryan, how did you continue your gaming career when you're having a girlfriend? Convince your girlfriend that you're friends with benefits? No. So when I had a girlfriend, when I was in a long-term relationship, in the beginning it was really bad because my first 3 girlfriends, actually no, sorry, my first four or 5 girlfriends, I have cheated on them so much, right? When I was 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, those years I've cheated on my ex-girlfriend, my first 4 girlfriends, so much that but here's the thing though. Every time I did cheat, they wouldn't know about it. Okay, so either you do it, they don't find out, which is okay, nobody gets hurt, right? No one gets hurt. Everyone's happy, right? They're happy, I'm happy because no one knows about it. Or just don't do it at all. Like, if you're going to do it, you make sure they don't know about it. Okay, you do everything in your power to control the situation so that there's the least amount of chance of them finding out that you cheated. So I've done this before. Like, when I was gaming, it was part of my career. There's nothing I could do. I fucking had to cheat, right? I was sleeping around. I must admit this because I was young, right? I was under 25 years old, and this is completely normal. It was for my career. It was completely normal. So I did what I did. But later on, this is why I don't get into relationships easily, right? This is why I don't get into relationships very easily. Because once you're in a relationship, it's too complicated. You lose a lot of your freedom. You lose a lot of your time. You lose a lot of your energy. You lose a lot of yourself. So when you're in a long-term relationship, actually a part of you is gone. Part of you is fucking gone. Because you are united with one other person, right? You and your girlfriend. And you create this relationship where you guys have this bond, right? When you're bonding, a part of your life, that time period is gone because originally you could have gone out to meet more girls or with yourself, right? But because you're in a relationship, you spend that time to bond with a girlfriend. So a part of you is gone, right? You lose a part of that. And you take a part of her and it becomes you. So this is why I don't get into relationships very often, because it fucks with my life, right? It fucks with my life. Unless it's somebody who's, I just can't, like, unless it's someone that I can't reject, really. I've had 7 girlfriends. My last 3 were fucking amazing. Like, I couldn't say no. Actually, one of my last 3 girlfriends, the one in Canada, actually, my last girlfriend in Canada, she was so cool about me going out and picking up girls. She was so cool about me going out and, like, going on dates, even going on dates with girls. She didn't care. She didn't care at all, like, that I was out picking up and whatever. Like, this was one of the coolest girls that I've ever met, and she was okay with that. That's how I knew she was a keeper, and that's how I knew that it was, at least it was okay for me to go into a long-term relationship with her, because she was cool like that. Most girls who are not cool, right? Most girls who care too much, there's no fucking way you can be in a relationship with them. It doesn't work like that. I think there's not such a big difference between girlfriends and friends with benefits. All these phrases are invented by us. It just depends on how you define it. Yeah, I agree with you, but I don't agree entirely. I don't agree entirely, because between a girlfriend and a friends with benefit, there is some sort of difference, and the biggest difference between a girlfriend and a friends with benefit, what I think, is having to actually, like, everything you do with the girlfriend, almost like it's very ceremonial, right? It's very ceremonial. Like, you would take it seriously. Everything you do with a girlfriend, you'd actually take it seriously. And she always, like, she could ask for more. That's the difference. Like, a girlfriend could always ask you for more. She can ask you for things. But a friends with benefit, you don't take that seriously, right? You're okay with losing her. A lot of times you're okay with losing her. You don't take it seriously. It's not ceremonial, right? It's not very ceremonial. With a friends with benefit, with somebody who's just a fuck buddy, you're very casual. At least I'm very casual, right? Like, we can go out and eat. We can go on a date. I wouldn't dress up for it, right? I could wear my sweatpants and my hoodie and we would just go, because I don't care at all. Or if she goes on, if my fuck buddy goes on a date with another guy, I don't care either. I'd be like, hey, how was the date? Was it good? Right? Like, what happened? I wouldn't care as much. But with an actual girlfriend, I would give a fuck, right? I would actually give a fuck, and things are more serious. That's the difference. That's the difference, because you care more. But if you're just referring to, here's the part where I agree with you. Because if you're simply just referring to, with a girlfriend, all you do is you meet, you have sex, you enjoy each other's company, and with the friends with benefit, you do the same thing. Like, that part specifically, okay, I agree with you. All right, I agree with what you're saying, because with a lot of the girlfriends at the end, right, near the end of our relationship, it's kind of like that, because I stopped giving a fuck about going on dates, right? Being very ceremonial, stop caring as much. So if you talk about that part, specifically what we do, I think so. Like, I do agree, right? Is boyfriend a barrier in your eyes? If I really like her, not really. Ryan, how did you end your previous relationship? In other words, how to end it? I feel it's more difficult starting a new relationship. How to end nicely? My last one ended very peacefully. My last real relationship ended very peacefully. My ex-girlfriend we just had a talk over the phone. We broke up over the phone because I moved to China, right? I moved to China. I had to move away, and she was in Canada. We just had a talk over the phone, and I was already in China, and she was in Canada, and we just talked. But in between that time period, I went back to Vancouver when I was in 2019, right? So in 2019 was the last time I went back. In 2019, I went back to Canada, and I actually saw my ex, right? I saw my ex, but we broke up just before 2018. So this was already like a year after we broke up. And the reason why we saw each other was because it was actually not a bad breakup, right? It was not a bad breakup. It was like what you said, broke up, ended nicely, so we could still see each other again. But that's not always the case, because my first 2 or 3 relationships ended really bad because they were not okay with what I was doing, right? I was going out picking up, and obviously putting out like YouTube videos of me picking up girls. They were not okay with that. So those were kind of like rough, bad breakups. But generally what I learned in relationships is that if you're honest and you're open about a lot of things, and you set things up, the girl will usually never get mad. Like, your girlfriend will not get mad. There's nothing to be angry about, because you've already laid out the rules, right? You've already laid out the rules. You've already laid out kind of how you guys would treat each other, or the ground rules of your relationship. So because you've done that, usually at the end of the breakup, whether it's you that brings it up or her that brings it up, obviously someone's gonna cry, right? If you're not gonna cry, she's gonna cry. But at the very least, it's not where you guys are having a huge explosion where you fucking hate each other and you never want to see each other again, like a terrible breakup. As long as you're honest with someone and you're always very logical, right? This is the part where you need to learn whether you're going to be more logical or more emotional. When you're more emotional during a breakup, things usually don't end very well, because you go back and forth a lot, right? Like, you already broken up, then you go fucking look for her again, and then you break up again, and you go find her again. When you're emotional, it doesn't end well. But when you are logical, you're very, very logical, it ends really well, because she might be emotional during the breakup, but after the breakup, when her emotions are gone, she's gonna think, fuck, this guy's amazing. My ex-boyfriend was amazing, because he didn't lie to me. He didn't lie to me. He didn't fuck around with my emotions. He was cool about it. He was honest about it, right? He was very clear. At least he was very logical about it, right? Very mature about it. So she'll actually think good of you. That's what you call a nice ending. That's what you call ending it nicely. Not get emotional. But I know a lot of guys can't do that because it's too hard. My conversation goes boring. Like, just ask her out, because I don't like to talk much on WeChat. I don't talk much on WeChat either, but my conversation is not boring in person. I don't talk much on WeChat either, but I am not boring in real life. Right, I just want to make sure that, are you chatting with me just now? Yes. I was talking to you just now, yes. Yes, previously, yes, I know. How to talk in a colorful, engaging way when you're feeling extremely tired. Do you try to talk in that way? How to be more consistent energy, like Owen Tyler is amazing. You can't. Like, when you guys go watch RSD, you think like, this is the most retarded thing. Like when a lot of guys watch RSD, they think that like Tyler or whoever from like you think whoever they are always energetic 100% of the time, and they're not. Okay, they're not. They're not. I've seen Tyler when he's tired, when he doesn't want to talk. It's what you're seeing with people who have a consistent high energy. It's that they know how to put themselves into that state and mind in that situation. Like, for example, if I were to go on stage and give a performance and give a speech, if I were to be live streaming, I have to draw that energy from within. Like, I have to make this work. There's pressure. Like, he's pressured to do that, right? There's pressure to fucking do it. So when the camera's not around, right? When there's no camera, when there's no certain events where they're pressured to do that, they also have no energy, or they have energy. It doesn't fucking matter. It depends on a person's mood, right? It's not always consistent. It's not always high energy. You know what I mean? Have you seen RST Julian field footage? I've not only seen his infield footage, I've seen him in person. I was an assistant at RSD for 2 years. I did it for 2 years. Right, I think my current girlfriend is not beautiful enough for me to marry her. Should I dump her? So should I end it peacefully with her? Dude, why are you asking me this question? You've already answered the question. Dude, why are you asking me this question? You have already answered your own question. You already said, she's not beautiful enough for me. Like, you already think that your current girlfriend is not good enough. So why would you ask me this question? Should you end it with her? You're fucking putting the responsibility on me to be like, yes, you should. Instead, you should be a fucking man yourself and make that decision and then tell me I fucking ended it with her. Not come to me and be like, you shouldn't come to me and say like, should I end it with her? It's not my decision, and I shouldn't be making that decision for you. It's your decision. Ryan, how do you think about instant reply on WeChat? Because I feel it's important to keep the tempo and control by myself, and sometimes so important. Don't instantly reply. I almost never instantly reply a girl. Even if she instantly replies you, you should at least wait, I would say, 5 to 10 minutes before answering. What's your opinion about Todd? Todd is very structured, very technical. Todd is very structured, very technical. Before he was a dating coach, like before he was a pickup coach, I think he was an engineer. He was in engineering, at least that's what he studied in school, I think, engineering. So he thinks like an engineer, right? He thinks like a scientist. Very, very methodical, right? Very methodical, very structured, very, very technical. So he breaks things down into almost a algorithm, right? It's like an algorithm. It's almost like math, science, physics, right? He breaks it down in an algorithm so that most guys can understand it, because men are very logical, right? Men are very logical. So when you break things down very technically, like I do that too. I do that too in a lot of my video courses. I do that too in a lot of my teaching as well. Some things, here's the thing, when I train my Chinese clients, right? When I train my Chinese students, most of the time you have to be technical. Like, even though like it's natural game, it's about how you feel, it's about the state, it's about what you're projecting, it's about like what you are trying to express, right? It's about your expression. But a newbie is not gonna fucking understand that. Like, a newbie thinks very logically because they're men, right? They might be an IT guy, right, who like codes. They might be an IT guy. They might be somebody who's an engineer. They might be an accountant. They might be a real estate agent, but they think very logically. So you can't you can't really woo them with this whole state thing, right? You have to teach it very methodically. You have to give them the structure. So in Chinese, so the thing with my logic is it doesn't matter if it's in Chinese or it's in English. Like, you can always give someone certain ideas very methodically, step by step, right? Very logically, because there has to be a baseline underlying knowledge or fundamental of why things are this way. So we always ask the question, like, what, where, and how. Or sorry, it's actually like what, how, and why, right? So the reason why you always ask why is because you got to figure out the underlying reason and the fundamental of why you're saying this, why you're doing this, why this way, not that way, why this first, not last, why this first, not second. You ask a lot of questions because there are fundamental reasons to social interaction and attracting women, right? So the thing what I learned about, like, when I came back to China is that a lot of local dating coaches in China, to be very honest, they're fucking retarded, because they don't understand the basic fundamentals of human interaction and the attraction between men and women. They think it's really easy. Like, oh, I show her a fucking picture of me with a Lamborghini, or I show a picture of me with a lot of money, and the girl is fucking attracted to me. Like, that's how they think, right? A lot of them think like an animal. There's actually fundamentals to this. And if you're someone who is, let's say you don't know anything about this, let's say you're a newbie, right? Say you're a fucking newbie, you're not going to be able to get this whole thing. You're not going to be able to learn this if you don't get the fundamentals. The fundamentals are actually really fucking easy. The fundamentals are easier than you think, but there are a lot of fundamentals. It's just like a sport. You play basketball, you play soccer, you play poker, you play an instrument. There are basic fundamentals. Once you get the basic fundamentals, everything is easy. Super easy. You just stack them. You stack it on top and you create, right? You have your creativity. So the thing with game and pickup is that when you're trying to sleep with women, there are basic fundamentals to social interaction. There's basic fundamentals to human behavior. There's basic fundamentals to human psychology. And that's what we're getting at here, right? That's what we're trying to learn here. So with Todd, you're asking about Todd, it's the same thing. When you ask about RSD, it's the same thing. Like, once you understand how basic human interaction and psychology, the fundamentals of how things work, and you apply that to your regular average dating life, whether you're going out cold approach, right, pickup, or you're going on a date, doesn't matter what you're trying to do. As long as you understand and you're very fundamentally sound, right? You're very fundamentally sound. All you have to do is just to execute, and things are extremely easy because they are already set the way they are, right? Fundamentals don't change. You have to understand this. Fundamentals don't change. They're set. It's like an apple is going to fall from the tree, right? Apple's going to fall from the tree when the season changes. It's a fundamental that doesn't change. The sun rises from the east and sets on the west. It's a fundamental. It doesn't change. So once you get your fundamentals, because they don't change, it's so easy, you just have to execute and apply them. And during your execution, right, during the process of your execution, during when you are doing this, your reaction time becomes faster, right? I did a video yesterday, and I was explaining in Chinese. I did a video yesterday of me going on a date with a Chinese girl. I was in the car, and people asked me, like, oh, why is your reaction so quick? Why is your reaction so fast? Because of fundamentals. My fundamentals are so set, right? My fundamentals are so very fundamentally sound, right? They're set in a way that once I go out, I don't have to think anymore. When you say someone's fundamentally sound, is they don't even have to think about this anymore. They just do it. It becomes my second nature, right? It's my second nature. I just do it. So really, what it really is, or what it really comes down to, is just me going out, meeting people, whether it's men or women, doesn't matter what, right? As long as we are interacting, right? There is a proper interaction. We're going back and forth. My brain picks up a lot of things or a lot of information that they give off. Now, this information could be their eye contact, right? Could be their vibe, could be their body language, could be their facial expression, could be the words that they're saying, could be the topic that we're talking about, could be their reaction, could be anything. But my brain picks it up because I'm very fundamentally sound, right? My basics are set. So all I do is I find patterns, all right? I find patterns in all my social interactions, and I've done that for over 10 years. Now, those patterns becomes a set of information, of data that goes into my brain. So every time I meet a new girl, okay, maybe she's a new person, but all of her reactions, everything that I'm experiencing with her just activates a data that's already in my brain that already happened previously 10 times, 100 times, or maybe even 1,000 times. So once that's activated, right? Once that's activated, I just go off of my natural reaction. I don't even need to think about how do I reply, or how do I say this, or what do I talk about. It becomes natural, and that's what natural is. So prior to becoming natural, you need to have basic fundamentals. Just like fucking basketball. Like, you look at Steph Curry, right? You look at all the NBA players, you think they're naturally good. They look like they're naturally good, right? All the professional athletes, every professional athlete, soccer, basketball, the UFC, badminton, right? Even table tennis in China. Every professional athlete looks naturally good, right? They don't even think about this. They just do it. It's like they were born to do this. Why? Because from the very beginning, since the first day they got into the sport, they started from the fundamentals. And the fundamentals don't change. Fundamentals never change. Fundamentals are not a new discovery, right? They've always been around. So people who are fundamentally sound, at the end, right, after a long time of maybe practice, right, long-term practice, continuation of doing this, they become natural. And that is the definition of being a natural in game. Like, you can learn this. If you're somebody who's not born a natural in game, if you're somebody who's born not good with women, you can start with the fucking fundamentals. Once you get good with the fundamentals, you go execute, you get the feedback, you change, you go again, you change, you go again. And you take all the feedback as lessons, right? And the more you learn, you go from basic fundamentals to things that are intermediate, and then you go up to being advanced, right? You go up to being advanced. Once you enter the whole advanced category, you're technically a natural with women, at least from on the outside, right? So if I wasn't a dating coach, if I was not a professional dating coach, and I didn't do this for a living for, let's say, 12 years or 10 years, if I was just an average guy, I had a different job, and I'm going to clubs and I'm meeting girls and I'm going on dates, to all of you guys, to everyone else, they just think I'm a natural. They all just think I'm naturally good with women. No one would think I'm that good or that I learned this. No one would think that I developed the skill over the course of my life. No one would think that I practiced this and got this good. No one would think that. Everyone thinks I'm a fucking natural. But because this is my job, I'm able to break down what I do. And you can tell that I'm very fundamentally sound and very logical because I can break down what I do. People who are actually naturals, they were born naturals, they can't explain what they're doing that got them results because there's no logic and fundamental and structure behind what they do. Like, they're just naturally good. But people like me, people like us, people who do this professionally, they're able to break it down because they started from the bottom. They didn't start at the top, right? People who are naturally good with women, they didn't practice. There's no practice. Maybe it was the environment they were in, people they were around, that caused them to turn out like that. But they didn't have any learning or practice or change. Where I went through a lot of change. I went through a lot of practice, a lot of change. Eventually to become who I am today. People look at me today like, oh fuck, this guy's a natural. Yes, but I can also break it down how I went from being a fucking loser to being naturally good with women. Like, I can break that down for you, the step-by-step process. And that is also a lot of things what I put in my program, right? That's also a lot of things what I put in my program, put in my courses. Okay, I've been live streaming for over an hour now. I think I'm gonna go to bed. It's almost 1:30. And here's what I'll leave on. Okay, I'm gonna leave on this note. I give a lot of value and information today. Make sure you guys hit that fucking like button down there, right? Smash that like button, right? And if you guys want me to continue to do different episodes of English live streaming and give you value and tips in English, make sure you like my video and you subscribe. If you guys want to learn this, you want to actually learn this shit, make sure you watch my product called Pure Game. Make sure you go buy that product. Actually spend the money to buy the product called Pure Game. I put a lot of my English, actual structured, logical content into Pure Game. So if you want to learn this shit, go watch Pure Game. Or if you're Chinese, learn from my other Chinese courses. You can add my WeChat, okay, Ryan91+, that's my WeChat, or my line, okay, RyanLove911. Make sure you add my contact information. But if you speak Chinese, talk to me in Chinese, okay? It's better to talk to me in Chinese. I only do English live stream for guys who want to learn how to pick up white chicks or foreign dating or interracial dating. All right? Interracial dating. So if you guys add my contact information and you speak Chinese, keep speaking Chinese, okay? Don't talk to me in English on WeChat, please. It's really weird because I taught you in English on WeChat. We still have to switch over to Chinese because you got to go through the course, the class, the payment, the whatever it is, right? You're going to show me your WeChat message with a Chinese girl. It's still going to be Chinese. So when you add me on WeChat or you add me online, right, you want to talk to me, you want to consult me, switch back to Chinese, okay? All right, guys. Thank you so much. This is Ryan, and I will see you guys.